All right, what's good, everybody? I just came back from a Washington Mystics game versus the Atlanta Dream. That was kind of dope. My first time going to a WNBA game. Um, so yeah, random fact, like that has nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about. However, I just happened to be earlier today before I even went to the game. I heard out my window, a gentleman was talking to a young kid, and when I say gentleman, he must have been in probably like his mid to late 20s, probably maybe early 30s, and it sounds like he was upset. So they walking down the block, and he's just like talking real aggressively to the kid, and I hear come out his mouth is, he said, "You can't, you can't be looking like no punk out here. You can't." Like you look up, he said something to the effect like, I can't believe, like, you look like a punk or what have you, or you can't be looking like a punk. And then what he followed that up with, he said, you represent me out here in these streets, you can't be looking like no punk. And so I'm assuming what happened is that maybe there was some sort of altercation. The kid was probably like 12 years old, probably. So I'm assuming that there was some sort of altercation with another young kid where the father probably wanted the kid to step in there and handle his own using violence to retaliate, I guess, from what it sounds like. And that's here in Baltimore City. But in Washington, D.C., where I've been doing some work, it's similar things that you hear inside the schools, right? So sometimes when I'm working with students inside of a school, some of the conversation that I have when it comes to breaking up a fight or what have you is, well, my mom said that if somebody hits me, to hit them back. And I remember there was this one particular young lady who was, she was talking to her brother, and she said, well, her brother tends to always be getting into like an altercation with some other kids somewhere, and all these kids are always ready to size each other up or what have you. And she said, well, my mom said that if anybody hits them, she told them to hit them back because they shouldn't be hitting them in the first place or what have you. So I had to let them know. I was like, oh, that's all well and good when you're at home with your mom, but there's different rules when you get into a public institution. All right, or not even a public institution, any other institution outside of your house, the rules change. And so why am I bringing, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's just a different type of mentality that we are trying to combat against, especially in the inner city community. Yes, somebody might tell their child to retaliate, and they might be thinking about what's happening in that instant, but quite possibly what they're forgetting is that sometimes these students that I'm talking to, that I have to tell them stop using violence to retaliate, these students are way smaller than the other kids that they're actually trying to size up. And I'm saying to myself, the kid who's the bigger kid, who has more power, who's stronger, faster, or what have you, thank goodness that a lot of the times they're the kid that tends to kind of just fall back and let things be what it's going to be. They don't really trip out. They don't really get aggressive immediately because truthfully, if they decided to, it would be a bad day for some of these kids. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there has to be a change in mentality at some point, and we're going to have to begin helping our people understand we have to handle things in different ways. There's a saying that says that violence just begets more violence, and it whatever you reap is what you will sow. Easy as that. It's just like a plant. Whatever you plant, whatever type of seed, and I guess that's a question that I can ask. What type of seed are you planting? Because whatever seed it is that you plant is what you tend to get right back. If I plant apple seeds, I will not only get back, I will get an apple tree, and then I will get more apples, which will bear me more apple seeds, way more apple seeds than I originally planted. And so you might say to yourself, yes, I will plant hitting this particular person back. I will plant violence in order to resolve the situation. But how often do we see, whether it be on a micro or macro, an individual or governmental level, that violence actually works? Usually violence leads to more violence, and it just escalates to a level that nobody really is willing to handle, and everybody wishes that they could go back in the first place and handle things a lot differently. So I'm saying that to say that I don't unfortunately, those who probably need to see this video won't be the ones to actually watch it. So, but I don't know, maybe we can admonish those of you who do watch it, can spread the word. Like, listen, if there's going to be a change in the inner cities, if there's going to be a change for the urban communities, then how we even handle particular situations, we can't just be known as people that as soon as something we feel is done to us, we feel that something is done to us, that we fly off the handle and want to retaliate with violence. We can't always want to get into an argument. We can't always want to come to what they call fisticuffs. We can't always want to shoot it out all the time. We have to. It's funny because that was actually in the Straight Outta Compton movie also, right? Where Eazy-E wanted to retaliate using violence, but what he had to understand is that the rules of the game of life, rarely does violence solve the problem in a way that will be conducive and to anybody. And so I don't know, maybe I'm just babbling, I don't know, but I'm hoping that this message will at least help somebody out there, whether it be you, just we gotta spread a message of, I don't even want it to sound too spiritual, but Jesus was probably onto something when he said, love those that hate you, do good to them that hurt you, love your enemies. Gotta stop this. Like, half of the young men who have been dying out here, black young men especially, half of them probably are dying because of just retaliation. Somebody wanted to retaliate, and then another person wanted to retaliate against that, and so then another person wanted to retaliate. And trust me, I've seen it. I've seen people. I've known people that die, that have died because of senseless violence. And so now we're teaching these kids at this young age, where and at that age, you're at such a young age, like, you're not ready to handle that kind of stuff, man. And so young kids are getting ready and preparing themselves for violence, preparing themselves to go to jail, preparing themselves really for death. And our generation is the one feeding them this stuff, telling them how to handle situations this way. So, I don't know. Y'all know, I just start rambling after a while, so I'll leave it there, man. But I think y'all can kind of get a sense of where my heart is at on this issue. Like, we have to start teaching ourselves and the rest of our people something different. It can't be that we solve everything through violence. It has gotten us nowhere, and it will continue to get us nowhere. Average is failure. I'm out. Peace.